It's really the modern gold rush right now, isn't it? The transition into tech.
Yeah, absolutely.
We see it everywhere. People are leaving established careers, in law or marketing or education, and they're looking to pivot into IT.
Right.
And the narrative is usually pretty much the same. You learn the code, you build the portfolio, and then you get the job. But, I mean, if it were actually that simple, everybody would be doing it.
That is exactly the thing. The whole learn-to-code advice is everywhere.
Yeah.
But it totally misses the actual friction of the transition.
Yeah.
It treats a career change like a software update.
Yeah.
You just install the new skills and reboot. But human careers don't really work like operating systems.
Which actually brings us to today's source. We have a piece titled Breaking into the Digital Domain. And for today's deep dive, our mission is to explore the specific narrative setup they use for transitioning into the IT sector.
Right, because instead of giving us a boot camp syllabus or, some dry technical roadmap, this source presents the transition through a conversational dialogue.
Right.
It doesn't give us a list of 10 steps to get hired. It literally gives us a script.
And that format is just the first major clue, I think.
Oh, 100%.
By presenting the solution as a dialogue rather than a manual, the source makes this subtle but really powerful argument about the industry itself.
It does. It suggests that entry into the digital domain isn't just this transactional exchange of skills for money. It is a social negotiation.
Right, and that distinction changes the entire strategy for you as a job hunter. If you treat the interview process like a test where you just output the correct answers, you might completely fail.
Because this source implies that the conversation is actually the product.
Yes, precisely.
Think about the modern technical interview. It is rarely just, hey, solve this algorithm. It's usually, talk me through your thinking while you solve this.
Exactly.
So the source material, by focusing heavily on a dialogue, highlights that the ability to articulate complex ideas is honestly just as valuable as the code itself.
You aren't just breaking into a database, you are breaking into a culture.
That is a great way to put it.
Let's talk about the participants in this specific setup. The source explicitly frames this whole thing as an exchange between a male and a female voice. Now, without reading too much into those specific demographics, what does the presence of two distinct voices tell us about the nature of this work?
Well, it dismantles that lone wolf myth.
Oh, right.
There is this persistent stereotype that IT is just a solitary pursuit. The genius coding in the basement alone.
Right, the hacker in a hoodie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But by mandating a dialogue between two different people, the source reflects the reality of things like DevOps, agile teams, and pair programming.
So the digital domain isn't actually a place you enter alone.
You really can't. You need a guide or a mentor,
Right.
or at the very least a collaborator.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The dynamic between those male and female voices in the source probably represents different perspectives, like maybe the insider versus the outsider,
Yeah.
or the technical side versus the operational side.
And the friction and flow between those two viewpoints is where the actual work happens.
Exactly. If you cannot navigate that conversation, you literally can't do the job.
It is interesting that you use the word navigate there, because the core objective here is explicitly defined as getting a new job in IT. Getting a job in IT. But the title specifically uses the phrase breaking into.
Right.
That sounds almost adversarial, doesn't it?
It does imply some resistance.
Yeah.
Breaking into suggests there is a fortress.
Yes.
And this is where the digital domain concept gets really interesting. A domain isn't just a physical place. It is a territory with its own laws, its own language, and its own gatekeepers. The source seems to argue that you do not just climb the walls with brute force technical skills.
You talk your way through the gate.
Exactly. You talk your way in.
That creates such a fascinating tension. On one hand, you have the digital domain, which is all binary logic, zeros and ones.
Right.
But on the other hand, the key to the door is a very human, very analog conversation.
And that is the paradox of the entire industry right there.
Right.
As systems get more complex, the human element becomes more critical, not less.
Wow.
The source is telling us that your ability to build rapport and demonstrate how you think in a dialogue is the ultimate soft skill that validates your hard skills.
So for everyone listening right now who is polishing up their GitHub profile or grinding away at leak code problems, don't stop doing that.
No, definitely keep doing that.
But take a look at this source. It frames the entire IT job search as a human dialogue between genders within the digital domain.
Right. Because if you have the skills but you cannot maintain the conversation, you just remain outside the domain entirely.
Here's the thought I really want to leave you with today.
Go for it.
We often think of breaking in as literally breaking down a barrier, but what if breaking into the digital domain is actually just about learning a new dialect?
That is a really interesting way to frame it.
Right. Is the barrier truly technical, or is it simply that you haven't learned how to speak the language of the people who are already inside?
It is a vital distinction to make.
Absolutely. Thanks for exploring the domain with us. We will see you on the next deep dive.